thank you all for coming. As you all know, this is our appreciation dinner to our volunteers. So we have counting agents, polling agents, and we're also taking the opportunity to share a little bit about where we're going from here after the GE 2025. So maybe Soon Juan, you want to share a little bit about that?
Right. I've said that after the elections, rather than retreating, what we're going to be doing is embarking on this renew, rebuild, reignite campaign. We've laid out a couple of major initiatives that we'll share with you this evening. One thing that we want to do going forward is this upsurge of younger Singaporeans, first-time voters, coming around and getting very excited about what's happened and wanting to be involved in the political process going forward. So let me dive in very quickly about these three major initiatives that we'll be embarking on. The first is we've launched a petition calling for a reform of the election system. And it's up on change.org. Later on, I'll give you the URL. And basically, it's this whole idea, and we've mentioned this even before the general elections, saying that this was very much a smash and grab election conducted by the PAP. And this is precisely what we mean when we talk about how this whole campaign was just conducted in unseemly haste. And then it finishes very quickly with the electorate hardly having time to come to grasp with some of the weighty issues, national concerns that affect our society. And this has been the feedback we'll be getting over and over, especially if you're talking about younger voters, not knowing about coming together to learn about the process, and by the time they're starting getting involved in the process, they hardly have any other time and then being pushed to make a decision. So that's the first initiative that we have. The second is that we're going to launch a cooperative. It's called the Orange and Teal Social Enterprise and Cooperative, OTSEC. And the long and short of it is that Singapore has been dominated by this PAP-NTUC nexus. It just come through very clearly in this elections with the involvement of Mr. Ng Chee Meng. And this is shown to be very unhealthy for our economy, where everything is top-down. So the OTSEC is meant to be a very much ground up, where we're looking for Singaporeans to own a part of this business, profit sharing, and to encourage young entrepreneurs coming up, freelancers, provide incubator services. We're going to launch this evening. And as we move along, we'll get our members to be able to shape the business model, the precise businesses that we're going to get into. Again, I'll give you the URL, and then you can dive more into some of the information that we have in there. The third major initiative that we are going to be getting into is, I mentioned at the outset, that we've seen this upsurge of younger Singaporeans coming forward. And this is why we have beside us today Shawal Yeo and Arifin Shah, whom you're familiar with, to embark on this newfound enthusiasm among the younger voters. We're going to tap into it. Yesterday we had a very enthusiastic crowd. We organizing the Young Democrats, our youth wing, as you know. And many of them have expressed a lot of interest, and from what they've shared with us. Again, this whole idea that they've just come up and learned the entire political process, and then finding things very unsatisfactory, and hence they want to be part of this whole movement forward. I'm going to, in this petition, we're looking to our youth wing to spearhead, making sure that this campaign takes root and then begins to expand and to let Singaporeans know that this is a very important subject area that we're going to get into. I'm going to just let Shawal and Arifin to address you right now and then talk about not just this petition, but things that they have in mind. But this is a very important arm of our renew, rebuild, reignite campaign.
So we'll let Shawal go first, and then after that we'll take questions. Arifin, then we'll take questions as a whole.
Sure. So anyway,
Do you want just come?
right. So I will address the part about the orientation / training we had yesterday with the new volunteers, because I was the one that is in charge of running it together with a team of other young Democrats that has already been with the party. Right. So this is really the first time that I'm seeing like 2-digit sign-ups, and actually 2-digit sign-ups come to our office, and we were so filled up we couldn't form a circle during the icebreaker. We had to make like some funny chicken nugget shape. Right. So that really shows that the youths are getting more interested, and they want an outlet, a place that they can share their opinions, share their ideas, and I hope that the young Democrats at the SDP could be that outlet for them. Right? Don't get angry, get active. So we hope that we can help direct this energy into a like constructive space, right, rather than anything disruptive. Yeah. So with regards to the petition, actually Arifin is spearheading that. Yeah, you can talk to them about the petition itself.
Yeah, in essence, what we find from our interactions is that many people have, intuitive feelings about this election. Like they feel it's too rushed, they feel it's too overwhelming, they feel an innate sense of injustice when they see Bukit Batok being wiped off the map, or when they see gerrymandering in certain areas. So what we want to show is that there are institutional solutions to these intuitive issues that we find an issue with. And it can't be a case where, you work so hard for 4 or 5 years and just before elections, all your hard work gets undone, right? So we're taking this time to really put forward these electoral reforms that we feel are important, simple things. And the important thing is that this is a non-partisan effort, right? To basically call for free and fair elections. And some measures that we will be putting forward will include things like, there are legitimate reasons for boundary changes, but just let the people know 1 year in advance, right? And give sufficient time for a campaign period. Instead of 9 days, perhaps 3 weeks. So, the rest of the details you will be able to see on our change.org website. But the whole idea is to start this important conversation about electoral reform. And I think one thing that has been quite interesting that we have seen is that many young people, even people who are too young to vote, have been coming forward expressing an interest.
Yes.
So I think that's very heartening, and we want to try to, encourage that active citizenry as a whole.
Yeah, so just to add one more point is that our efforts on electoral reform are not new. In fact, if you Google SDP electoral reform, you'll come up with a 2017 statement that Soon Juan put out, calling for very much the same kind of things: a truly independent electoral boundaries review committee, a fair period of campaigning, and importantly, the repeal of the newspaper publisher MPPA, basically, to allow equal access to the media for all the voices, so that Singaporeans can make an informed choice, that they are and have access to all the information that they need to make their choices. But I'm not going to talk too much. Maybe we can take some questions. Anyone? Yeah, sure.
Saying that there's a cutting the share a bit more about how that works. We've seen also a lot of younger people expressing interest.
Yeah, I think there have been a lot of younger people, even people not staying in the constituencies that we contested in, expressing an interest. So that chicken nugget shift that Shawa was talking about is actually just a fraction, because we want to meet people in batches to keep it productive as well. And I think the young people coming forward has been really heartening, and we hope to retain and grow that.
Yeah. In fact, one of the things that came out in yesterday's event, I was there at least for the first part of it, when Shawal asked them to introduce themselves and say why they were there. So many of them said, I'm usually politically apathetic, but this general election made me start thinking about politics. So I think it's great what these guys are doing. Yes?
Why do you think this particular election has instigated this huge upsurge of monthly users, particularly towards politics? What is your assessment of that trend?
Shawal first and then Soon Juan.
I think Yeah, so I think what it might have been is that with the uprise of TikTok, right?
Yes.
You get a lot of first-time viewers to your channel, and it might not be SDP direct channel, right? Somebody can randomly snap a video of Dr. Chee, and suddenly that thing blows up. Just him walking down the road, and that thing blows up. So more first-time people, not just voters, but first-time people get into contact with politics, and not just like politics in a whole, but opposition politics. Right, back then there was no voice for that. Even when you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, your channel will not get recommended to a new person, right? And TikTok is very different. So I guess that could be one of the things, right? So many people came yesterday, and then they say they woke up the next day after election day with tears coming down from their eyes. Yeah, so that's got to be a real thing, right? That people are more aware of it now, because they get more chance to get in touch with this kind of stuff. Yeah.
On a less serious note, it was the meme, right? People were singing, and then
Waking up in the morning, the sun going up.
right, and then the look left, look right, and that's how that catches the attention of the younger generation, and then they develop that interest and say, hey, what's behind all this, and then they start showing. But then coming back into this, what Shawal said a little while ago, then they start learning about, many of them says we didn't know what the term gerrymandering was about, and then they started learning. But then the one thing that you notice that after that, then they develop this sense, very natural instinct of injustice, right? You cannot have a game played and one of your players is in charge of all the rules. And that's where I think younger Singaporeans then begin to say, hey, look, something is not quite right. Hence, you see this interest in wanting to make things just a little, the playing field just a little bit more even. And then that's why you see people coming forward.
So we're just wondering, given the campaign Renew, Rebuild, Reignite, how will the party maintain momentum over the next 5 years? Given that GE2030 is still some time away.
That's them.
Well, it's the young people. They seem to have a huge amount of energy. They have various plans in mind already. This afternoon they were walking in Maguchi, or running in Maguchi, I think it was.
Akmal and gang.
Yeah. So there's this energy which, again, a lot of these things are progressive and hard work. So like this petition, we've been talking to lawyers, and hopefully Arifin will be a lawyer very soon. Yes. And so there's a multi-pronged approach. Online petitions are a dime a dozen, but that's just a starting point. Because then it goes into forums, it goes into education, it goes into legal challenges, and so hopefully we'll be able to sustain this momentum through the various activities that come through. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think across I think one thing that a common thread that we always talk about is how democracy doesn't stop at the ballot box. So one thing we are very committed to doing is to continue to renew our policies, refresh our policies, and 9 days. A campaign period is too short to really sell your policies and show what you're standing for. So that's where our entire 5-year period kick in. And we hope to sustain the momentum. And I think as long as we are guided by values, we should be fine.
The other option, of course, the other project is, of course, our co-op, which we intend to, it'll take time to build. But that's why we want Singaporeans to buy in and create that economic model that we don't see right now, and that is very much people-centric rather than a top-down big business kind of approach. And this is where all the problem starts, where you get things, people getting too much of this profit money-minded approach, so much so that even NTUC Income was toying with the idea of selling it a thing to Allianz. And that's where all these problems start. People get so angry, people get so indignant about this entire process. They want to see something belonging to the people, truly staying with the people. So this is the start of the process where we want Singaporeans to buy in, truly own a piece of the economy that they toil to build.
For this cooperative that you talked about, is there any particular area that is going to focus on or address? Or?
You're talking about the co-op?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be forming up our committee, and as things grow, we're going to have our different arms of the business, looking at specific businesses that we're looking. One of the things that we're looking at is trying to build co-working spaces. As we've said it many times before, that to us, an innovative entrepreneurial economy is really the lifeblood of Singapore as we go forward. So the whole idea to bring people together so we can collaborate rather than keep everybody in silos and very atomized, that's not the way forward. So if they have anything to say about that, it's going to be building spaces for Singaporeans to come together and own a piece of what they build as they go along.
Before the next question, I'm just going to say that the next question probably should be the last question, because Paul is required inside to open the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you know some Italian again. Because with all these plans moving forward, how will we measure the success of this campaign before the next week? Is there a specific barometer? What are you guys looking at?
Yeah, I think one of the things you realize is that the SDP is not a KPI-driven party. So what we do, but we do obviously feel that if we are going in the right direction, people will come with us. And this is what we've seen with the young people coming forward yesterday. So clearly something that the youth have been saying has resonated. So there are people coming forward. And I think this is the way you build a movement. Is you start small and then you gather the momentum. And if you're going in the right direction, the momentum will build. If you're going in the wrong direction, then obviously you have to take a step back and see where you're going.
Yeah.
Yes.
So regarding this, like the movement whole thing, right? It's more of like getting a place that is safe for people to come and explore all this with us, right? It's so scary for a young person to go to Hong Lim Park for the SG Climate Rally or maybe May Day Rally. It's very daunting task for a young person to just go there alone, right? So, but if you come together with us at the Young Democrats at SDP, we'll go with you together, right? It's not the first time we are there. We can bring you there. It's all safe. No worries, you're not going to get into trouble. Yeah, so I think that's also something that's important for Young Democrats.
And I think that's exactly the point, because yesterday for so many of them it was the first time they had ever been in a political party office. So there was a certain amount of fear that was in there, but it's this transformation from fear to hope, which is what we hope to do within the next 5 years.
Okay, one last.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emphasis on youth that I'm hearing.
Right.
In the road to the next general election, I'm curious, Dr. Chee and Dr. Paul, do you think the role will be playing as big of a role as you did in this election?
Well, first of all, let me correct the misconception. Most of the hard work in this election was done by young people. We were just there in front. Okay. So I think that will likely continue, but it's very, very likely that there'll be a lot more young people coming up in front as well.